So Fee and I both know Barney, you know, our best mate's son. Fee actually used to be in the army, so he's very rigid. You can see the mic's a little bit lower. Frigid.
He's not frigid.
He is single, but before he compliments the bridesmaids, which I know he will, Jojo, just put your hand up. He's asked me to shout out one bridesmaid in particular. He just wants to say, Daisy, you are looking beautiful tonight. Which she is. Come on, she is. Ladies and gentlemen, the best man, Felix.
Okay, before I begin, I'd like to say, on behalf of all of us gathered here today, Team Hayward and White, and the joining of your two families, thank you very much for the most wonderful, memorable day. Toby and Rachel, Coolsworthy Leisure Centre looks the most resplendent I can remember it. Thank you very much for hosting us. Now, as Fred has said, I'm a veteran. Thank you for my service. Sarah, I know there are some generals in the Ministry of Defence that would do well to learn from your organisational excellence. But now we turn to the groom. When I was 1 year old, a Baptist minister called Gary Chapman wrote a best-selling book describing the ways in which romantic partners expressed and experienced love. His concept was picked up and tossed about by the full range of pop psychology columns and self-help books, and is now known to us as the 5 love languages. Now, if anyone here was in any doubt over what Barnaby's love language might be, the fact I'm standing here talking about him for the 3rd time in as many years might indicate to you that words of affirmation might be the winning candidate. Indeed, in the crafting of this speech, the cruel genius of Barnaby's request for me to take on this auspicious role became apparent, having spoken to a great many of you at length, at his request again, at his 30th. After all, if I've already said it, what more is there to say? I therefore encourage you to lend a sympathetic ear to my ramblings. There is some unavoidable plagiarism as I squeeze the proverbial sponge of speech content to its absolute limit. The last time we were all gathered here on this lawn at Coolsworthy was to celebrate the respective birthdays, the 50th, 21st and 18th birthdays of Rachel, Barnaby and Daisy. Those who are present might have a hazy memory of an inimitable speech delivered by everyone's favourite pantomime villain, Alex Couchet, in which he reminisced about our groom's earlier years. I think we were all surprised but delighted to learn of the groom's initial nickname, the Bundle of Orange. This is a name we like to remind him of when his hair turns a curious, lighter hue and takes on a zesty, lemony smell. I'm also given to understand he was originally referred to as Barnababy and was a very relaxed little child. It was an idyllic early life in southwest London for the Hayward family, but they soon packed their bags and moved westward, trading the Fulham Road for a village which can boast the longest high street in Britain, Combe Martin. I first met Barnaby in 2005. We joined West Buckland School, myself and Will Trainer, fellow usher over there. We were assigned buddies at our school. Will got Barnaby, and I was lumped with a boy called Dominic Burton. Dom had an unhealthy obsession with the Crazy Frog ringtone and running headfirst into the wooden poles that supported the main school quadrangle. Fortunately for me, Barnes rescued me from this regrettable situation, and before long I had been introduced to Coolsworthy Leisure Centre, met his dog Conker and his wonderful sister Daisy. Many from school remember Barnes as a gifted sportsman. When I first met him, he was basking in glory, having won this famous school Exmoor run by a considerable margin. I couldn't work out where he got his endurance from, but I soon worked it out once I watched him take off at great speed after Bertie the dog, who had an insatiable desire to see the world beyond the gates of Coolsworthy. Alongside skiing, as we have heard, Barnes absolutely loves cricket. His early exposure to the game was through Michael Tucker's under-12s at West Buckland. Barnes' test match obstinacy was really totally out of place with the junior form of the game. Most of the parents really didn't have the time or patience to watch him play himself in on the course of a Saturday afternoon. To the delight of Linton and Lynmouth, I suppose the relief as well, Barnes has managed to expand his cricketing repertoire beyond the forward defensive shots and sometimes score somewhere above 20 runs. As we grew up, Barnesville and I busied ourselves with all the typical teenage antics, reliably supported by copious amounts of tribute and rattler. There are too many stories to tell about our late teenage years in North Devon, whether it was staying at Grandma Hayward's retirement flat after a classic Old Spoons, New Spoons, Rising Sun, Tavern, venue session, or midweek fancy dress at the Morisco Disco. Our extracurricular activities did extend beyond sport and drinking. We're all given roles in the school's production of Les Miserables. On reflection, I do like to think that we were cast appropriately. Myself, as the dashing, naive, and humble heartthrob Marius, Will as the passionate but intransigent intellectual Enjolras, and Barnes as Thénardier, the flamboyant, drunken landlord. I think we can all agree the food this evening has been exceptional. And I think we're still enjoying the pudding and there's still more to come. Food is a big feature in the Hayward family, and I've enjoyed many a feast, whether it's here at Coolsworthy Leisure Centre or out in this alpine resort in Vesena. From roast to rosti, you cook it, you name it, they will cook it. Coolsworthy head chef Rachel fondly recalled to me inducting him into the world of refined cuisine, whether it was kippers and grapefruit at hotel stays as a toddler, vintage cheddar and homemade chutney sandwiches as a prep school student in Fulham, or freshly caught and dressed Kumartin crab. She taught him well, carefully selecting the finest local Devon produce throughout his childhood. Now picture the scene on returning to Coolsworthy after his first term at university. I've discovered this amazing new restaurant in Cheltenham, Ma. Apparently the recipe goes back to the 1930s. Brilliant, she thought. He's getting a proper culinary education alongside his studies in the Cotswolds. Oh right, darling, tell me more. Where is it? Perhaps Toby and I will go and see you and visit it. His response made her heart sink. KFC. All was not lost, however. Despite embarking on a university education and embracing student life, Barnes retained a taste for the finer things. Fresh-faced from his winter in the Alps and summer in Thailand, he marched into what was his probably only appearance at the University Lecture Theatre. And it was here he happened upon a young Zimbabwean by the name of Michael Davey. The two struck up conversation and decided it'd be a great idea to continue their conversation over pre-drinks at Barnes' student halls. Michael pitched up, fully expecting to throw himself into proper English student life, with a pack of cards, a load of rollies, and some of Carlsberg's finest continental lager. What was Barnaby's alcoholic contribution, I hear you say? Rosé. A case of rosé. Probably Toby's. Remarkably, this social faux pas did not hinder their friendship from developing. When they weren't babysitting oversized child Chris Ralph, shifting tin at the gym, or making guest list appearances at Moo Moo's, these two were embracing the entrepreneurial spirit their course expected of them. After all, these two were ready for lives in business, and what better way to hone their marketing skills than by a promotional campaign designed to promote the thing they love the most, themselves. I recall hearing of their attempts to convince the women of the University of Gloucestershire of their potential credentials as future dating prospects. This was achieved through the medium of fake business cards. These were adorned with the heading, Hayward, Davey and Sons, which to me made them sound more like a 1950s furniture removals duo than Yuppie City Slickers. The effectiveness of this technique remains unclear to this day, but it did seem to me a bit more Alan Partridge than Alan Sugar. Now, at this juncture, I'd love to tell you a story of two star-crossed lovers meeting eyes across a crowded room, probably in Soho House, but that would be a lie. Despite any outrageous cover story you might have heard today, and we had a bit of a spoiler earlier, Barnes and Sarah met on Hinge.
Woo!
For the uninitiated, Hinge is basically Amazon for dating. Copious amounts of choice in one easily accessible mobile platform designed to play on our predisposition for dopamine-induced validation addiction.
Someone's better than Taurus.
Except when you reach 30, it becomes more like Facebook Marketplace, where people sell hand-me-down furniture in various states of disrepair, and you can never quite work out whether you're going to get mugged when you see it in person. I will leave you to decide whether Sarah has bagged herself a priceless antique or a set of IKEA shelves. I'd like to take a few moments to talk about Sarah. From the moment that Barnes introduced us, I could tell that she was a really special person that had truly captured his heart. Sarah's kindness radiates in everything she does. She always puts others first and makes everyone around her feel valued and cherished. She excels in everything she puts her mind to, whether it be her career, her hobbies, or simply being an amazing friend or family member. But above all, what stands out most to me is what a perfect match she is for Barnes.
Absolutely.
Together, they bring out the best in each other, creating a partnership that's full of love, laughter, a lot of rosé, and unwavering support. Barnes. We've come a long way in 20 years, but despite those advancing years, it always feels like nothing has changed. Your generosity and fun-loving spirit are infectious and are what all of us around here find so endearing about you. We're all so happy for you that you found Sarah to share the innings of your life with. We all wish you a lifetime of happiness together. And my final words are for the bride. Sarah, it's been my honour to watch one of my dearest friends marry his best friend. I truly hope that you enjoy growing old with Barnaby as much as I have enjoyed growing up with him.
He's done all right.